And we're back on the Fowler Show. Now, I got to tell you, folks, you guys already know out there in Fowler land, Fowler Nation, how I feel about Secretary of State from the state of Kansas, Kris Kobach. I think he is the maniacs of maniacs. But I really got to tell you, folks, he's reached an all new low in my book with something that happened a couple days ago. We're joined by Sulma Arias, the executive director for Sunflower Community Action in Kansas. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I am doing great. Thank you very much.
Listen, now tell me, Sulma, why? So, what is happening in Kansas? I mean, obviously, we know we're pushing for immigration reform on the sort of the national level, but what is Kris Kobach doing in Kansas that has gotten, the minorities and Latinos and African Americans so upset?
Well, it's not just what he's doing in Kansas. It's what he's doing, to the rest of the country. It's really what he's doing has national impact. He is the key author of some of the most horrific anti-immigrant laws that are really hurting our families every single day. We can't drive without thinking about, the implications of the laws that he has tried to pass and that he promotes. He is the author of the idea of self-deportation, and that's what he promotes.
And I think that's this whole idea of self-deportation. So I got to tell you, first of all, I think it's the dumbest idea in the world. But beyond it being the dumbest idea in the world, and beyond it being, Mitt Romney's immigration plan, the fact that these individuals act like this country was not a country of immigrants. It blows the mind. I can't even fathom it because it really makes no sense to me.
Right, and he was Mitt Romney's advisor on immigration, and we've called him out on that several times. But the idea is that he has no, when this whole thing came out, people have no idea of the horror and the violence that our families and our children, our fathers, especially families that have had their one of their parents, or sometimes children, both of their parents, deported and have been separated. That's exactly what he's doing to us every single day.
And that's the crazy part, Tom, because this is the party, and we talked about this for a good part of the show, and we'll continue talking about it. This is the party that is the first one to quote Bible scriptures and the first one to talk about why we need strong family values. We have to support the family and the family unit and the family structure, but they're the same party that is the ones to try to split families up and break families up for their own political, I would say, ideological gains.
Yeah, and really using and alienating, a group of about 50,000 young Latino immigrants that are turning the voting age every single day. And this is what we're hearing constantly, and we haven't heard anything from them, from the GOP, to say no, we don't stand for those policies. We stand for something else. What do they stand for? Up to now, all we hear is, if they're not saying anything, it must be Kobach's policy still.
Exactly, and that's exactly the point. I do believe that they really do stand for these policies that are not only regressive, but they're policies that hurt families, that hurt America, that hurt our economy. And the hypocrisy here is in 1986 when Ronald Reagan, who was their quote unquote savior,
Mm-hmm.
When he had instant amnesty, they were all for it then. Now, all of a sudden, just because it's being pushed by progressives, now they're adamantly against it, and that's sort of the hypocrisy that blows my mind with this party.
Yeah, and even the hypocrisy that happens out of our action on Saturday, and although we agree that not a lot of people agree with our tactics, I think we felt that we needed to take that type of a risk to get attention to the suffering that our families are facing every day.
I love that. Now let's, for just a second, let's talk about the tactics that you guys utilize to sort of bring attention to this issue. One of those tactics being having rallies in front of elected officials' houses or appointed officials, and one of those individuals happened to be Mr. Kobach himself.
Yeah, and prior to that, just a little bit of background on that, we had gone to his office, the Secretary of State's office, several times, and had attempted to talk to him, and were told by his office, by his assistant, that he did not do the work of immigration out of the Secretary of State's office, but that he did it out of his private law office, which is his private law office is listed as his home. So, you know, we took the conversation to him there to try to deliver a message, and you know, you know what happened from there.
Well, I love that, and I mean that is, and the crazy part here is, and I guarantee you one thing, Sulma, that is, I'm pretty sure he claimed that private office is a tax deduction, meaning that that's his place of business. And so the fact that he wouldn't allow people to discuss his business at his place of business because he just didn't want to talk to them on that particular day sort of blows the mind, even though he's probably getting a tax exemption for that quote unquote place of business.
Yeah, not only that, you know, but this is a guy who just loves to use the stage, to use the Secretary of Office position that he has to continue to draw that kind of attention to himself. He loves the attention. Of course, he has, you know, he has that. And every time he goes up there, he continues to show how extreme he is and how out of touch with Kansas, out of touch with America. And, you know, from what happened on Tuesday by, you know, the striking of the Supreme Court of his voter ID law, he's also out of touch with the Constitution.
That's it. He's out of touch with the Constitution. He's out of touch with the people, but yet still he's passing policies and advocating for policies. The Republicans all across the country are modeling as these great ideals of, you know, how we fix America, how we fix America's immigration system. Now, Sulma, how many individuals were at this action that happened on Saturday?
We had about 300 people there.
So 300.
We were actually coming back from a town hall meeting that took place in Kansas City. We had about 700 people from all walks of life in Kansas, from all over the state, that were there to ask Senator Moran to stand on the side of comprehensive immigration reform and to stand for path to citizenship for 11 million immigrants. And it was, you know, a group of 300 of us that stopped at his house to deliver a final message directly from our families.
So basically these 300 individuals, they sort of got onto his property and they sort of made their voices heard. And then what happened?
So actually what happened was, you know, the 300 of us stayed in his driveway. A designated group went to the door and rang the doorbell to try to see if he was home so we could deliver a message. He was not home. We told the rest of the crowd he's not home, but, you know, just reminding everybody why we were here peacefully to bring a message and to, you know, hope that maybe he would listen, that he would, once he heard stories from children, you know, he would change his mind or maybe think twice about what he's doing, see face to face the kind of hurt that he's causing. But he wasn't there, so we left. You know, we were there for maybe 15, 20 minutes, no more.
And what happened after you guys left? So he released a statement, and what was his statement? What did the statement say?
He said that, you know, he alluded to that if he had been in the home when we were there, he would have probably used violence. How did he say that? He said that by saying that he was glad that you know, that there was a Second Amendment and that's what he was needed for.
Now the question, Sulma, is was this a statement released by the Secretary of State's office? Or was this a statement released by him personally?
He said this personally on the first radio show that he went. As
Secretary of State. So you can't meet him in his office as Secretary of State, but yet he goes on the radio show only because he's Secretary of State, and then says, I would, you know, use violence to get rid of these people who are coming to talk to me about my personal business, my personal law office. It's crazy to me how these Republicans continue to blur the lines, and they claim to be the party of ethics and the party of values, but yet they trample on American values every single solitary day. And you know, and I think you guys are doing some great work down there in Kansas, because somebody has to stand up for all those individuals that have no voice or that have been left voiceless by Republicans and conservatives who don't believe in true and real immigration reform.
Certainly, and you know, it is not always an easy decision, because as you can imagine, these are people who have been hurting for years by his policies, and confronting and stepping and saying no more to that is not an easy step to take. But but we've had a lot of support. We have a petition out there denouncing and asking him to apologize to some of our young people and our children for what he said. We have gotten so much support from all across the country. It is amazing. And even here, and people are just, ready to tell this guy to, like, either stop obstructing a path to citizenship, because that's what we need. The country needs it to move forward. His policies are not getting us anywhere. They're not providing a solution.
Sulma Arias, thank you so much for being on the show. We support you here at Fowler Show and Fowler Nation. Our support is with you and everybody fighting for the 11 millions living in the shadows. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you very much.